to look at, I don't know where it's best, Mr. Chair. Do you want me to go on the witness? Love going on witness stand. Now, there are two things. Would you mind standing? Is that possible? Yeah. Or would you prefer me to sit, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I'm just curious as to whether they're getting you general on the so if you could turn the mic on, perhaps that might get you on the feed so people can see it.
Okay.
I should use the mic.
Maybe if I sit. Following the Sandia report, and this, I'll use as quickly as possible. Now, it's important to note, as I indicated at the outset of my comments, that we were talking about Providence and Fall River. But again, I said the concepts are equally applicable. In this instance, this is Providence, okay? But what this evidence is the zones of destruction that would occur from a breach that occurred. And when you think about that, that's how we have to be forward-looking. You think of the economy around it and the things that are based on it. Now, that's just if it's docked at the facility, right where near, well, say the bay's down here, right where the easiest way is the biggest white tank as you come around Thurbers Ave is the LNG holding tank. That was where they were planning it. Okay, so that's the devastation that we're talking about. And the indication from Sandia, confirmed by Clark, is that massive devastation would happen up to a mile away. Buildings down, no life. Now, to transfer that, now everyone in this room has vision, but to transfer that, what was done was taking that circular diameter and brought down along the path of the ship, right? So the ship coming in from the Atlantic Ocean, cutting up by the historic Newport Harbor, Jamestown, by the Naval War College, closing down, which I'll probably revisit in a minute, closing down of the Newport Bridge, which Rhode Island Bridge and Turnpike has indicated has to happen, which would shut down traffic, which leads more to the socioeconomic things, which I'll revisit or answer your questions. The entire path. So I just want everyone to kind of get in their mind that path. Now, I don't offer, if I may return to my seat. I don't offer that to heighten alarm. But it is important, as I indicated, that because of the security zone that has to be maintained around these vessels. When the first proposal came in, I'm the last elected official that I know of in the Northeast to ever ride on an LNG boat. We were together. At that point, Mr. Shearer thought I may become a fan of it, of the project. And I went out into the ocean on a tugboat, went up 130 feet on this massive ship, went up another to the back of this boat with 1,000 feet, 5 compartments in front of us, watched Logan Airport close down, watched the Tobin Bridge close down, and saw it go into harbor. And that is important for those being forward-looking in our beautiful ocean state. For me, when I first came onto this, I thought Boston's a bigger city. You know, it's got to be more devastating, and if they can do it, we can do it, right? Actually, if you go up there, for those that are more familiar, I hadn't really thought much about it. It's 5 miles and you're in wide open waters in the ocean. We have 26 miles from the point of entry in tightly confined avenue or waterways. When you take the ship, that now in this adjusted application that has been submitted to try to get away from their original plans but still stay in the game without having to reapply, that has been this attempt to call it an offshore facility and to put it in the middle of our bay, 2/3 of which are Rhode Island waters. You know, that has to cut through 15 different communities. 15 different communities. And every time, if you took that picture up, and I'll allow you to keep it and we'll make copies for everyone, but every time that the exclusion zone, because of the risk that I talked about, even if we assume from here until eternity that no devastation occurs, and obviously we'd all pray for that and celebrate that, and assume for the minute it never does, the burden put upon the states and the respective cities and towns is enormous financially, because the federal exclusion zone is, well, is that me? Is 1,500. So you have a ship that the original one was approximately 1,100 feet. They have made adjustments. The new size of their proposed ship, latest ship, small ships that are coming in, are somewhere around 900 feet. The federal exclusion zone, because of the risk associated with this, are 1,500 yards on either side of the ship. 2 miles in front and 2 miles in back. 1 mile. Oh, 1 mile. 2 miles in front and 1 mile in back. So in addition to picturing a ship that is as big as an aircraft carrier coming in with 37 million gallons of liquefied natural gas, right? You then have to extend that zone where no life, nobody, no ship, no person can be in the water in that zone. And wherever, pursuant to federal regulations, wherever that zone touches land, foot patrols have to be maintained to make sure the security risk is minimized. What does that mean? Well, that means to Hull, Massachusetts, when it goes by there and touches land, foot patrols cost them tens of thousands of dollars for transits every year. Now, there has been some discussion, nothing finalized. While there have been some agreements with the state, I should note, in good faith between Mr. Shearer and his company, and offering that some, monies would be paid so that the towns don't have to bear that burden. There also have been some arguments of whether or not they sustain those payments. And it's something for us to consider, particularly when we're dealing in this disastrous economy we're all suffering from.
If I could interrupt you
Yep.
just 1 second. Senator Felag did ask if he could address a question with regard
Sure.
to the zone that you demonstrated.
Yes, in your picture, General, over there, just for clarification's sake, and it seems like you're discussing that particular issue now, you have a red circle area and you have a green encompassed area that's outside of that. Maybe that's probably the zones you were referring to in terms of the side width and the frontage.
Actually, this which I have before me
And that one over there.
is different. And so let me explain, because I jumped pretty quickly. What happened is, because of the Sandia report, Clark actually, conclusions were that it would even be more severe, but even if you take the Sandia report, sanctioned by the government to look at it and consider what is the threat, because of the risk, and they have diameters of devastation essentially that are laid out, from that drove a decision to have a federal exclusion zone mapped out. Because the threat is so dramatic that if something went wrong, particularly in a post-9/11 world, the decision was made that you need a federal exclusion zone. In this picture, it depicts that zone in its application to a LNG. This picture, which I'll make copies available for them, I don't believe we have this up on our PowerPoint, is a picture of the federal, I want to show it to everybody, a picture of the federal exclusion zone around a ship. And I think if you just note, I mean, we're all from Rhode Island. Stand at Ocean Cliff and look across at Jamestown. You're in an exclusion zone that's touching land, and Newport Harbor cannot be open for a ship coming in. Right? The bridge will have to already be closed, 2 miles in front, 1 mile in back. Jamestown Harbor, no boat, nobody is moving. Now, when I first...
But I guess my question is referring to that particular assessment that shows a green and a red. What are they referred to? Because it looks like it's populated on
the red area just in the middle would indicate the zone itself. The outer two perimeters, excuse me, would indicate the devastation that Sandia and Clark confirmed would occur should a breach happen, and God knows we don't want that to happen. What I'm saying is, as a result, the government said you have to have a federal exclusion zone. This federal exclusion zone, the burdens on the cities and towns, the costs on the cities and towns, and in this ocean state, would be utterly devastating to businesses of every type, particularly small businesses. Go back to the start when